Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Madden God podcast. I'm Max, your host, and I'm here joined by at least the body of the wonderful, the amazing, the one and only Roxanne, even though the voice is something else.
The voice is a little off today.
Yeah, but it's
It sounds
Roxy.
it sounds like I've been smoking for like 40 years. That raspy voice, that sexy voice.
Yeah, sexy voice. You could sing some Barry Barilo.
Mary Manilow. Barry Manilow. I can't say that. No. Oh, you're talking about Barry White.
Yeah, Barry White.
Yeah. Not Mary. There's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, Barry White. Man, to have that voice. Good Lord. What an absolute silky smooth, just seductive voice. Make me want to lay down. Hi, ladies. It's like, oh, hi there. What's going on? Anyways, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Madden God podcast. Again, I'm Roxanne, and of course, Max, the host. And thank you for tuning in once this week. And each week we decide, kind of like at the last minute, what we want to talk about, unless something is pressing. And then we'll kind of like say, okay, maybe next week we'll talk about that when we did the different idea of spiritual, skill sets, tarot readers, channelers, mediums, a magician, magic and stuff like that. So anyways, we were just sitting here talking and I had an idea, and sometimes I like to keep the conversation to, a little bit easy. But I think this is maybe a little bit odd for people, but it's valid nonetheless. So I wanted to speak about something I teach in my classes. It's the third school. If you go through my schools, you have 4 schools to go through, and they're progressive. So you can't go to one without the other. You got to start with one. Anyways, the third school is vibrational tactician. And I wanted to speak about vibration. And years ago when I heard that, if you want to understand the universe, you have to think in terms of frequency, vibration, and tones. And that was from Tesla. And of course, Einstein backs that up as well in his own ways. So anyways, how do you understand, how do you speak the language of vibration? Very difficult. I didn't understand that. And over the years since then, I start learning vibration. And Bashar had said something, and Abraham had said something too. According to your vibration, okay, you create your reality. And the versions of the people therein are according to your vibration. And of course, in its immediacy, that doesn't look like a match at all, because you wouldn't intentionally have bad things or bad people. If you have shitty parents or shitty bosses or shitty friends or whatever, you wouldn't intentionally create those versions of the people. So you have to understand that vibration is based upon yourself as the nature of the fractal. We started out as the fractal, so we have to understand, oh my God, I'm a fractal, everyone. I don't know anything. What I have to figure out is what does that mean? What does vibration mean? What is that? And after years of study and working, I had to understand that vibration was directly equated to my worthiness. So when I'm looking at vibration, I'm looking at what I'm putting out. Going back to the law, what you put out is what you get back. What you put out is what you get back. That kind of idea. So if I'm putting out my unworthiness because I was born separated, and automatically in the idea of being born separated, we're lackful because we have the absence of our own self, our own realization, our own worthiness. We got it. So I was been putting out that, and then my life was polarized. I battled against it, fought it, but my vibration was the same. It was still unworthy. So I didn't understand what worthy was either. I had no idea to understand what worthy was. Well, I thought the version of reality that I was attesting to was my worthiness is what I want. I'm going to say yes to this and get that, but that was egoic demand, and I had to recognize that as well. So that's how I came up with these schools over the years of doing this work and realizing that it literally is based on vibration and what is attracted. And I wanted to understand how the versions of people were created in my life. And first off, I had to understand that I'm not creating them in that idea. I am vibrating a truth which allows them to express within that frequency field their truth, co-creation. So if I'm with one person and I open up a topic, a conversation with a negative idea, most likely I'm going to get the counter and some negativity. It doesn't have to be in agreement or not in agreement. It's just the texture of the conversation will be the same frequency. Or if it is a person that is no longer choosing their unworthiness to join in those reindeer games, they'll just say, I'm not listening to this and walk the fuck away. That's an awakener, something like that, because they're choosing a different vibration. So when I was understanding my worthiness, it wasn't a command thing. It was a demand thing at the beginning. And then I learned, wait a minute, I don't have to fight for my worthiness. I'm a God. I'm the only God. And one is all is one. I get that. So what the hell am I going to do? Why am I needing everyone to fit? And I'm realizing I'm changing myself and expecting the mirror to change for me, which is rude. But that's a human thing. That's how we get our food. We get our food fed every day to keep the ego fat and happy in the ideas of separation. So when you understand your worthiness in a complementary manner of command, then you would start to realize how much your world changes. And of course, if you've been listening to this, you know I'm transgender, and that was the most worthy act I've ever done with myself my entire life, was become Roxanne. And that was excruciatingly, wasn't painful. It was scary. Just, shaking fear, very fearful. Anyways, I did it. I got through it, and I started realizing that things were coming into my life that would support my truth. See, the worthiness was that, and then the mirror reflected, my reality bubble reflected the idea of, this is your truth, you get that back. See, reality is your best friend, and it doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't care for you. It doesn't need and it doesn't want for you. Your reality is exactly what you are. It's going to keep giving you no matter what. It doesn't have an opinion. It's not there watching you or guiding you. You are a vibrational truth creating your reality. It's law. What you put out is what you get back. That's all there is to it. Don't add any of your diarrhea into it. So you might as well start learning to speak the language of vibration, because when you start to do that, you can actually start creating your reality through will, not through lack, which I was creating my reality through lack because that's all I knew. So what did I do? What did I do to understand vibration? I saw the results in my life as I chose to move. And what was happening at the beginning of my movement of self into the new self, and when channeling, especially when chanting came around, I was getting a lot of feedback from people that wasn't conducive to what I thought those people should be. Because in my mind, I'm doing great things. I'm selling myself the best story in the world. Holy shit, I'm a channel and a good one. And I got, connected with all these ideas and doing all this stuff. And I got this, and I wasn't getting the version all the time. I was getting versions of people that were saying, channelers don't cuss. You have to clear before that. There's negative entities. You got to make sure you don't bring in anything negative. And this was all the diarrhea back from 2013 when I started. We've matured somewhat as a species since then, but there's still some children out there playing the polarity, good and evil side. But anyways, you let them. you take care of your own kingdom. In my kingdom, I realized that the more I chose me, and the mirror reflected the ideas of, what is your relationship with this person that's criticizing you? Why would you attract a person that criticizes you when you're being worthy? See, that's what I didn't understand. That was a difficult time for me. I thought I was being worthy. I thought I was being my worthy self, and I was. But what was being disrupted was my truths about reality. I still had criticisms about other people because I was taking these criticisms personally. And I understood that they're in their own world, but I really didn't see it because whatever truth they were saying, I was taking it personally, and it hurt. I lost friends, and they were doing this and doing that. And it's like, come on, guys, I'm trying to find my way home here. Have some fucking respect for what I'm trying to figure out here. And I was still looking for my worthiness externally, which was creating vibration and, of course, versions of people. And what I noticed that was absolutely fascinating, the more I transcended those beliefs of external truths and started coming into my own and validating my own existence as worthy without reason, then I realized the versions of people start changing. And most of them dropped off, just went away. And there was plenty that stayed around and continued to work, but most of them just went away because for whatever reason, they chose the reality, and I had to be okay with it. So me being okay with that, accepting what people are in their own worlds, creating their own reality, having their own experiences, and I in the same subject to me. And what is it my concern that they are a cause or an effect on my life, other than it being my truth that I'm assigning to them? And that was a very, very big version of worthiness that I found. And that worthiness shifted my vibration, and I got more intelligent. I got more intelligence, and I started to understand the depth of vibrational tactician is how you create. You have a mechanism. Well, let me back up. You must remember that you're a creator. So everything to create is already in place. Okay? Everything. Forget about instant manifestation. Forget about making money, creating money from winning the lottery. Forget all that fucking bullshit of your mind. You're not defined by things. You can't use that because then you'll return to the vibration of black. So when you start really choosing a different self inside of you, you'll notice that the versions of people were changing. And I noticed that when I'm willing my creation with my truth in the moment, and it's not an object necessarily, it's just the moment of my choice is my worthiness. I was putting into the will of the now, that vibration, and it start matching. The frequencies were matching. Well, they've been matching the whole time. They've been matching the whole time. I just didn't know what language I was speaking to the will of the now, creating my realities. So I had to stop using the human language and start using the language of vibration, language of the now. And it's beyond emotion. It's not emotion. Emotions are results. They're interpretations of what's already been created. So the vibrational tactician says to itself, this is my truth in the moment. And then if you have your ego still present in belief systems that is a counterance to your truth, you're going to feel resistance. And then, of course, that's the work that we assign as transcendence. But that doesn't negate the fact that the version of the people that you create, okay, is still tied into what you're putting out. Even though you discover your own lack, work on your lack, you're not going to keep creating lack for people because you discovered your own lack. You create your worthiness, and the vibration of the mirror will start getting different versions. The versions that don't want to be in your light anymore will change realities, and they will leave your light in order to find something that's a little bit more dark for them, because it's very uncomfortable when you're around a light bearer that is worthy. It's a very, very bright, shiny light, not physical light. It's a vibration. It's just exuding. And a lot of people get envious or jealous or want to fight it and argue. And I've been through, I don't know, 5,000 students, I guess, in the last 10 years, whatever. I've been through a lot of people, and I see how people react. I've really mastered it, and I've learned frequency, vibration. I learned the emittance of what they're putting out. If they're putting out guilt, they're putting out anger, they're putting out need, jealousy, envy, hope, lack. It's all the versions of lack and expressed in an idea of an emotion. So I learned that language, and I started realizing I really am creating my own reality. But I've been going around about it in a different language that creation doesn't speak. So as soon as I start learning the language, my life really started to change. And it took me a long time to get there. I've been working at this for a long time. It starts in very infancy when you start choosing your truth as the first truth is to be Roxanne. And then expressing Roxanne the best she could. And then evolving Roxanne and realizing that Roxanne is not an identity any longer, that Roxanne is a creator. And starting that internal self, trusting it, stopping with your own bullshit about your identity. You really think you're something? You really think you're defined by a sheet of paper and a history? That's the extent of you? You're fucking kidding me? So I had to realize what I was defining myself as in a critical idea of how I was creating my world. Because it doesn't listen to your mind. Vibration is what you're putting into your vortex, your own bubble. That's what it listens to. Because it's a direct reflection, and that's why you create different versions of people. I bet if you become more worthy, you'll be surprised on people's reactions. Like, wow, I never thought they'd be like that. Not in a million years I ever thought that. Well, because you've changed and you get different versions. And sometimes those versions aren't permanent because they get uncomfortable with the version that they're seeing in you because they're now perceiving something that they are losing. Maybe you are a dependency and you're changing your life. They don't want to be left behind. They get angry and try to keep you the same because of, loyalty or marriage or some constitution saying this is the law and you have to abide by it. If not, you're a sinner or some bullshit like that. And when whatever truths that you bind to your will vibrationally will create your reality, folks. So you have to start feeling your way through reality rather than thinking. And I started feeling, and I got very good at it. Very good at it. And it's a continuing skill set. And I learned so much about myself and so much about my own diminishments and vibration. And each time I unlock a portion of me, my reality only grows brighter and it grows more worthy. So in that idea, I'd highly suggest, if you want to talk about it, Max, I highly suggest you learn the language of the now. Learn the language of vibration. And it's an internal relationship. It's not an external relationship. Go ahead, Max. You wanted to say something.
Well, there's. Let me get into some examples.
Okay.
That I'm getting just to right? To get into how practically in the now that comes along. One example I can give that I experienced recently. So I have some eczema problems on my hands and a little bit on my face. And I was on vacation in Spain, and it was getting a little bit concerning in that moment. So I was in a mall, and I had just this thing. I see a pharmacy, and I feel, and then I say, oh, there's a pharmacy there. And as I listen to myself, I know, I feel, I can go to that pharmacy and I'll find there something. And it was a feeling, a vibration. It was a knowing that I had in that moment. Let me go there. So the following day, I go back there, and I find a couple of creams that are working. They work. And I felt that. I knew, right? It's in that moment I knew when I listened to myself. So that's the moment, that's the attraction, that's the vibration. I knew that that was a good option for me. I didn't have to go there. I could have just said, not interested. But I decided to listen to me, to what my body, my feeling, my vibration was telling me. And so I decided, oh, I go there. And I found what I was looking for, exactly what I needed in that moment. Another example, which this is about people, is, and I've already talked about this, is my relationship with my mother. As you know, I'm doing my work, and I'm changing. I'm doing all of this, and one day I go and meet my mother, and I'm sitting there. I'm listening what she's talking about, and I'm just there thinking, I don't know this woman. I have no idea who this woman is. Never met her. Still, my mother, I could recognize that, but in what she was expressing in that moment, I had never met that. I couldn't recognize, because it was not what I was in the habit of encountering, of exchanging with her. And my relationship with her, my experience with her, had been a very painful experience, um, and then of separation, and then needing, right, to work myself, not on her. I work on myself. I had to find in myself reasons, whys, and right, all of those things that we as humans go through when we have certain experiences that are painful, that leave a lot of trauma, and all of those things. And then we need to go through those. We need to explore. We need to understand. But very often we do that, but we do that in relationship, in looking at the external, looking at the perpetrator, looking at the person that did that to me. Why did they do to me? What is their history? What is their... That's one way of doing that. Here we don't do that. Here we go inside ourselves and we explore ourselves. We look into ourselves. Why? Because that's where the answers are. That's where I discover me. And by discovering me, then I'm able to transcend whatever experience I had. And so doing all this work, what did I do? I changed my vibration. So changing my vibration, I changed my relationship with my history that I have with that person that I identify as my mother. And doing that then changed my relationship. Then it changed what was available for me. We change, and then I changed my vibration. And so what happened? She matched it. I encounter a different version of her, but more than different version of her is that as I changed and my vibration was different for what I ever expressed before, well, in order to be able to have this moment together, it was I change, stay the same, then we repeat the past. We go and have experiences that are matching our past because we're not matching. So we cannot encounter ourselves in any way. So we can only have what? We can only have discord. We can only have that kind of thing that we knew before. But there, we choose to match. So we choose to have a different experience. Another example is the example of my father, which is the opposite example, in the sense that I've changed and I cannot encounter my father and match. We're not making, let's say, the effort, but it's more, we're not making it so that we can have a match. If I were to encounter my father, I will have the version of him that I knew in the past, which is what I'm experiencing. Whenever I have anything to do with him, that's what I'm dealing with. So here it's an example of where I change my vibration, but there isn't a match. At the same moment, what I'm saying is that there is no need for us to have a match. If the match happens, it happens, and I know it in the moment. I cannot look for it to be there. Because then that becomes what? That becomes me trying, me working to have an outcome. Where I'm forcing the person to match me, to have the same, that's just the same thing of bullshit, right? That doesn't work. Anyway, if a match were to happen, is that it happens in the moment, it's there. Because we choose to have that, we are attracting that. But again, here is the example where you can see that there is no obligation to have the match. This person doesn't have the obligation to match me and encounter me where I am at, right? We have choices, and this is the choice. It's the choices I am making. It's not that they are opposing me and resisting me and refusing to work with me because they are not doing what I want them to do. It's just what happens. We are not matching. But that is also the experience where I'm dealing with it. And I have difficulties with my father. So as I am having these difficulties, obviously I'm expressing something that doesn't allow that vibrational change and match, right? So it's not that he is opposing me, it's that I'm not there for that. I'm not entering, right? So we have this relationship that is staying strange and stay in what I could say the past. But it's not that I'm right. That doesn't mean that I'm not doing my work. It's part of the work. It's part of the vibration that we are expressing now. And you cannot force the outcome. Cannot force, right? I'm stressing it because this is very important to understand when you are in a relationship, especially with family members where you have conflicts and you have a history and you would like to you cannot force that to change just because you're changing yourself. That changes, you realize the change in the moment when it's happening. But keep doing your work, because I've evolved. If I am at this place with my relationship with my father, it's because I have done a choice of worth. I realize I'm worth more than what my father is giving me. If I stay in the relationship with my father as as it is expressed all over these years, is that I'm disrespecting me, but I'm also accepting that I'm not worth a better. I'm not worth my worth, right? I'm not bringing that in. So I have to recognize that the relationship is not good, that is bringing me nothing, and all that is giving me is less than. You're not good enough. You are not, right. So then I make the decision of worth, and I say this is not good enough for me anymore. So I have to stay away and then allow whatever happens, right? Allow this to go in any direction that can go. But at least, even if we are not able to make amend, to repair our relationship, I am in a place where I can look at myself and say, I'm worth. I made a decision of worth. I respected myself. This is the most important aspect of my decision of what I'm expressing. From there, then I am opening that up to any outcome, to any choice, to any decision. If I stay in the relationship where it's toxic and I'm not respected and I am receiving the feeling of not being enough, of unworthiness, then I'm not feeling good. I'm not being well. But that is only because I'm not seeing me as valuable, as worth, as a being that deserves to be loved, but even not to be loved. I'm not worth my love, because to be loved, as long as I love myself, I'll be loved too. But if I'm not loving myself, then I'm not worth it, right? So that is what we need to change our relationship with that question of love, right? It's a vibration, right? How do I vibrate, and that then opens up the attraction. But people would say, I want love. I'm looking for love, love. But then they hate themselves. So, and then they are astonished that they have no one around them, that people are running away. They may begin a relationship, but they never last, because how do you want it to last? The main relationship that you have, the main relationship, it's with yourself. And if that relationship is not a relationship of love, your vibration is saying no love. No one is really willing to stay into that when you go into a relationship. So that is then reflected in the relationship that one is able to have. Is not relationship of love, is relationship of opposition, of pain, of those things, right? So I made a choice and I choose me. And I'm saying, what else could I choose? What else? But I'm saying this from this standpoint, from this now, from where I am at now. Say, what else really choice could I have made when I want to, when I'm working on myself to express my work, to change my vibration, so to change my relationship with everything that I am creating, because I was seeing that there was a problem, and that problem was me. It was me with my vibration that I was not expressing my worth. So I was receiving exactly what I was vibrating, which was unworthiness. So I was receiving a lot of hate and rejection. And my father rejected me so many times. I cannot even count. He really threw that at my face. But I have to be honest. And that is to say, I was vibrating that. I was right. That was my worth all along in my relationship with him. And so that was what he was throwing at me. But also, I was validating it.
Hang on. Why? Why was it? Why was he doing that to you?
Because I was open to it.
No.
I was.
Because that's who he is.
Yes.
Guys, do not forget that everyone is their own lost journey. Keep going.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't leave out that. That's key.
That's key. Absolutely. What Roxy is saying there is that, right, the person that I was, that is my father, and that is expressing that, that's what he is, who he is. That's exactly right. And like was my mother, when my mother was abusing me, that was exactly what she was, right? That was her being. It's not that I was um, that she was doing that because, right, of me, or that I was saying to her, hit me, right? But what I'm saying here with vibration is that I also have as to recognize that at the same moment that he was what he was, I was accepting it. I was taking it in, right? That's where I have to see that then I allowed that to happen with the way I was accepting it, because now I'm not allowing it because he hasn't changed. That he's the same version, that same being that has rejected me all along. He's the same. What has changed? I'm not taking it anymore. I said, stop. I'm out of here. This is over. Today, this is ended. And it ended that day. Why? Because I was not ready to take it anymore. Why? Because I changed. Why? Because my vibration, it was not at that point anymore. My vibration changed. So vibrationally, that couldn't happen anymore. So I changed my posture, changed me. And that was all that I need in order to what? In order to recognize that that is not okay. That is not all right. It's not all right, not because he's doing it, because who cares if he does that? It's his choice. That's what he is. What is not okay is me keeping to allow that. Staying in a relationship, and it doesn't matter, relationship with your spouse, with your significant other, or with your family members, or the parents, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't stay in that relationship anymore. I can leave. So that is the moment where you start, where I started to say, I'm worth. And when you start doing that, you cannot go back. You once you realize your worth, once you express it, you can't stop it because the vibration is different. Point number one, as we are talking about vibration change, and then when you match it, when you find it, you don't leave it. You don't let go of that. You express it once, you keep doing it, so that your worth, if at the beginning you start expressing a little bit of it, but that little bit, it's increased every moment, because every moment you have a choice, and every moment you have the example, oh, look at that, I choose my worth there. I know what my worth is, how that feels. Now I have this choice. This other person is treating me like shit. Do I allow that or not? No, I don't. Bye. You see, choice after choice, you have other experiences that presents, and then you have the choice. And once you know how to choose your worth, more and more you will choose it. More and more. Because that becomes your vibration.
It gets easier.
Yeah.
Experience. See, we're born in fear. Our parents treat us the way they treat us is not because of us, because that's their truth. We accept their truth because we're born separated. So we become identities to our parents, and our parents become identities to us. And that, of course, is replaced as you move through life. You replace it with jobs and peers and best friends and spouses and different ideas. And you always have an external identity. And as long as you're vibrating that lack full frequency that you were birthed with, then you're going to get the same life. You're going to get the same life. That's why rich people that are born rich usually don't become poor. It takes a lot for a person that's born rich or wealthy to become poor, because that's what they're vibrating. They got that from birth. Some people can create their own wealth, sure. Very few, but you can, especially in today's age of tech. And one little thing can make you a millionaire by creating the right app, sell it for $1 and then 10 million people download it. It's really easy, but when you start expressing your worth, that's when your reality changes. That's the worthiness. And you become more and more familiar with it. Like Max said, it gets easier. Why? Because it's like anything. Everyone listening right now has had a first day at school, or a first day at a job, or an interview, or whatever. You've all had those. So those first days were very uncomfortable, very scary. The more days you spent at your new job, the more you spent at school, the more comfortable you got. See, if you live in a house that's marked A, and you continue to take the resources of that house, that environment, that truth, replace vibration with objects. So if you keep using the same objects, or / in this case vibration, why would your house ever change? Oh, you can move stuff around, but it's still the same relationship. So until you change the framework itself, you don't get a different life. And that's what Max is speaking about when he spoke up for himself. There's a lot of criticisms about going against your own parents. Fuck them. They're gods that forgot. They're just like Tom, Dick, or Harry. Don't think there's any relationship behind them. No, I'm saying you don't have to say fuck them. It's depending on your relationship. You might have a wonderful, loving relationship with your parents. Bully for you. But that's a way to create your reality. That's not everyone. This is a subjective journey. So wherever that counterance is coming in, and you have an opportunity to change your vibration, don't hesitate. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times. The familiarity comes in, and then you just can't get enough of it. You can't get enough of your own worthiness. Highest act of love is to love yourself. When you start doing that, then you really start taking care of you and your whole world changes. Some people might call you selfish or whatever, but we don't care about people. People are gods that are indestructible, infinite beings living in their own little bubble, creating their own realities with their interpretations of experience and their willful ideas of themselves putting into the vortex, creating that little bubble of whimsical reality of forever, right? So don't worry about what they're doing. Focus on you. If you don't focus on you, what are you going to do? Try to make the world better? How long is how's that working out when you're trying to make the universe unity? I bet it hurts. I bet you argue. I bet you fight. I bet you protest. I bet you go against everything that the outside that you need to change to make it this way because you're right and everyone else is wrong. No, you're creating a world. Find your internal truth, your internal vibration, and start expressing it. Start fucking expressing it. And watch your world.
And have the courage to leave when it's not working. Don't stay. The staying is not.
Don't stay.
Stay. No, I said when it's bad. When it's something toxic. Leave. Don't. Stay.
Don't stay. I got you. Yeah, if a vibration reality is not working for you, why would you keep it going?
Yeah.
Some people like to be heroes, unless they love the fucking pain. Those are narcissists.
Yeah.
Those are people that love their own pity. They're victims. Their misery loves company. You're not that person, exactly. You don't want to be that, do you? Is that what you think yourself the best to be? That God meant you to be this way, to come down here and suffer so you get a bigger house in heaven or some bullshit?
No, you're not rewarded for that. You don't receive rewards because you sacrifice.
Create your fucking now. Exactly. Yeah. Create your now.
And
what are you going to say?
And what we're talking here is that's when you start allowing the change to happen. It's when you make a choice where you say, this is not good for me. I'm out of here. What that is then allowing, no, it's not that it must be, right? That is absolutely what happens. But what you do is that you open up the potential for a change of relationship, whether it's your parents, siblings, or friends, or whatever. Toxic, maybe it will change into something else. But if you stay in the relationship, in the toxic relationship, that's not going to change. That's going to stay exactly the same because you are just wanting it to stay like that.
It'll never get better.
You're feeding of it.
Yeah.
Like they are. So the choice of choosing you to give yourself the priority that you deserve to have is a choice that allows the change. And maybe the change is also that you may not have any relationship with those people ever again. Is that terrible? Well, only you can answer that. But if the relationship is a toxic relationship, I would say that maybe choosing you is not that bad. But if pain is what you want, by all means. But no one really, right? When you talk with people, there's no one or very few that will choose pain. Yes, right? Or why? But then make choices. And the best way to express the love, to find that love, is to make choices that are different choices. It's when you talk with people, everyone is saying, "Oh, love, right? I want love." Yes, absolutely. Who won't want that ideal thing, that idea, right? That we. But then, are we looking for it in the right places? because most of the time what we expect is a external love, and that external love has to fulfill our expectation of what love is. But for many people, that external love has to come and into their void, into that they're not feeling inside, not finding inside, right? Because there's nothing there. Because they are looking outside for what is not felt in the inside. But that external love is not going to give anyone the love of the self. If you think that being in a relationship is about you loving them or them loving you, and because they love you, you are happy and you are in the best place because, oh, they love me. All right. Okay, why not? But then the question is, when are you going to start loving yourself? Because if that is enough to fulfill the void, but the void will never be fulfilled. That vibration, right? That feeling, that emptiness, that many of us, I'm talking about, I know what I'm talking about because that is where I was coming from. I was coming from an absence of love. My parents didn't teach me love. They didn't love me. None of them. So, what do I do? Well, I was fulfilling myself and trying to navigate in one way or another. And at the beginning, as I was a young man, I was literally craving for anyone to love me because I didn't know what that was. I had known, and I couldn't express known for myself. I had to learn it, to learn how to love me. And once I started, then I couldn't stop. It's a process. It's something that is coming that you just decide to explore. You recognize I have a defect here. I have something that is missing. How do I find it? First, I try to find it external. Does it work? No, not really. The void is still there. I may have moments where I can maybe give myself the illusion that there is some solution, that something is coming in, but it lasts 5 seconds, 1 second, 1 minute, 5 minutes, and then it's gone. The void is still there. You cannot put, right? The void is there. So then what other choice is there? Well, a very hard, very difficult choice. A very, very difficult choice. The hardest choice that there is. Start to love yourself. It's very difficult. Let's be honest. It's not easy.
How do you love yourself, Max? Teach the people how to love themselves, because our bullshit society says love yourself by emotionally saying, I love me, an affirmation.
No, that doesn't
teach
work.
them, Max.
It's
what do you
still
do?
The illusion, the external, right?
Right.
I love every morning you wake up and you look in the mirror and say,
okay.
I love you.
You know that's so. What is it? What is the idea about loving yourself? And I'll tell you the way I do it. What do you do?
Well, I started choosing, making different choices.
Okay, different choices. What do you mean, like having a cappuccino instead of a coffee?
No.
Okay, what choices?
Choosing choices of relationships.
The internal truth.
Truth, yeah.
You don't make different choices about life. You make different choices about yourself. You start choosing a self that screams at you and say, don't fucking do this to yourself ever again. That's the self you choose. Folks, you got to take care of yourself because this fucking reality isn't going to take care of you. If you're listening to this, you vibrated in this reality. The people that don't listen to that in their own world. You created this moment. It was an attraction. There was a vibrational attraction that brought these words to your ears to have a concept to say, hey, it's time to choose your worthiness. I don't care if that's walking out of a toxic marriage, a toxic job, a relationship you don't want to keep maintaining. You've got to be able to express yourself. And it could be internal. It doesn't have to necessarily be tied to ideas. It can be your own bullshit that you keep doing to yourself just to maintain some image. You don't have to wear your hair. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a perfect fucking house. I remember this lady was telling me, oh, this new tenant, she came in, I went by her house, and it was immaculate. And I was like, well, how horrible is that? I mean, that must be so hard to keep her house fucking immaculate. What a lot of stress she's holding up. Fuck, we're humans, guys. We get to express humanity. Doesn't mean you need to be perfect. Stop trying to be perfect. So that's another relationship that you can say, fuck that. I'm going to choose to do the dishes tonight instead of now. I'm going to do the laundry tomorrow instead of now. I'm going to choose myself today over anything else. That's how you start to change. You don't make different choices about the external. You make the choice of the internal fucking self that says, I'm worth my own goddamn existence. How do I know that? Well, because I'm here. If I'm here, I haven't earned it. I'm not on probation. I'm not on a test run. It means law one, that I exist. So I must be blessed. Therefore, I can choose my truth because I'm existing. Everything else in non-existence doesn't know it's not there because it has no awareness of itself. I know I'm here because I am very aware of my own existence. So who says I have to give that up? Well, of course, we know who says. Authority, religions, the statues of humanity that have been crushed and rebuilt a million different times since we've been on this fucking planet, just shifting gods to different ideas of idols. And all the meanwhile fleecing humanity for whoever just happens to be in power at that time until they take a dirt nap and the next fucking person comes up. It doesn't matter. We're not those people anymore. We're a collective and we're representing what each person can become their own worthy self. And that's what the choice is to choose I am instead of I am not. Choosing the outside is choosing I am not. Go ahead, Max. You can finish it.
Yeah, and and for me, one of those moments I remember, but one of those moments for me was Roxy asking me, "Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you keep going to visit your father if that is the result? That right? That thing, and that made me just realize, why am I doing this to myself?
Bingo. Because you're the one doing it. You're letting your obligations say it. You're letting your family tell you. They're through your emotions. You're making behavioral choices through your emotions, which leads to emotional realities. No fucking shit.
Yeah. And so that from there, well, the rest is history, right? I choose differently, and I choose me. And I also remember Sex and the City, Samantha with her relationship with her millionaire real estate guy that had cheated on her one time, and then she goes back with him, but she's so jealous and she's afraid that he's going to cheat on her again. And she runs up, I don't know, 10 floors or on the stairs. And finally she rushed into the room and she said, I'm done. I love you, but I love me more.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. And with this...
Do a rebellion. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And so yeah, we're at the end of today's episode. So, Roxy, where can we find you?
You can find me at odysseyofascension.com, on YouTube as well, Odyssey of Ascension. And I did have, like, I think 3, maybe 4. I think I could fit 4 more slots in for the workshop that's upcoming this week. So it's the April 12th here in San Antonio. If you're interested, give me an email and I'll fill you in on the details. It's on the page at odysseyofascension.com. And we're going to do some work on enlightening. 3 day, well, it's like 5 days. You come in for a day, we work for 3 days and you fly home the other day. Or drive home or whatever. Or walk home if you live close. All right, everyone. And where can they find you?
breakfastwithmax.com and Breakfast with Max YouTube. And now look for Healing with Max. Is something that I'm working on and putting it out there. So, and also you can send us questions, comments, whatever you want to the Madden God podcast at gmail.com. So thank you for joining in listening to us, and we will be seeing you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Next week.
We'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, not next week. No. Next Wednesday, Max. Yeah, it's going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
2 weeks.
Well,
it doesn't mean you can't do one without me, so you can still have a podcast, Max.
Yeah.
Bring in a guest and still do a podcast, but I won't be there next week because I have my workshop. All right, everyone. We'll love you.
Bye-bye.
See you next now. Bye.